This is Ryan Shelkett from Cross My Heart and Liars Academy, and you're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I am your host, Keith, and we're back with a brand new episode. And on the show this week, we've got Dan Hodsdon, guitar player of the Callous Daoboys. Now, the Callous Daoboys are a mathcore band out of Atlanta, Georgia. They've been doing it since around 2016, 17, somewhere around there. They have made a big impact with their latest LP, Celebrity Therapist. And we talk about that. We talk about Dan joining the band. He joined the band in mid-2022 and has already made a big impact. We talk about the band's music videos, which are a real trip. We talk about what's coming up. We talk about everything. And you're going to love it. That's coming up shortly. But first, here's how you can support The New Scene. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at New Scene Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. I've got a main channel with full shows. I've got a clips channel with highlights from some of our favorite episodes. And I've got a gaming channel, which I update periodically. 5-star reviews. Give us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you write a nice review on Apple Podcasts, I'll read it on the air. And don't forget, we have shirts. We have shirts available at Deathwish Inc. Search The New Scene on Deathwish Inc. and you'll see our fine selection of t-shirts and the long sleeve, which is still available. It's cold out there. Get yourself a long sleeve shirt. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. Jerome's Dream is headlining ZBR Fest. That's taking place May 6th and 7th in Chicago. They're headlining the whole fest, and why not? They're a fantastic band. You're going to want to see that. Head over to zbrfest.com for more info on that fest. And if you're not signed up for the Iodine Recordings email list, I highly recommend you do so. It's a great email list, and you get updates first before everybody. And there is big news coming. I am not messing around with you. There's big news coming, so you're going to want to get on that list first so you can hear the news first. Head over to iodinerecords.com to sign up. You can also check out their Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And don't forget to support this month's sponsor, Bridge 9 Records. Check out their new record store at 282 Rantoul Street in Beverly, Massachusetts. It's open Wednesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m. They've got a fine selection of Bridge 9 releases. They've got a fine selection of non-Bridge 9 punk and hardcore releases. They've got their Silver Series pressings of some of the most classic Bridge 9 releases, and you can only get it at the record store. Stop in, say hello, check things out. For more information, head to bridge9.com or check out their Instagram at Bridge9. That's Bridge, N-I-N-E. Okay, let's talk about some music recommendations. One Step Closer. Have you heard the new songs? Have you heard them? It's a 3-song EP. It's called Songs for the Willow. It's amazing. I love it. I think these are the best songs they've written yet. My favorite track is Turn to Me. Wow. Unbelievably good. So make sure you listen to that. And I've been on a bit of a post-rock kick lately. It's freezing out. I'm walking outside and there's crazy colors in the skies and cold weather. And, that's perfect post-rock music. And I haven't found any newer bands that have really done it for me lately. So I've been dipping back into my old playlists. And I've got 2 for you. Okay, the first one is, the band is Old Solar. And the song is Summer Solstice, Dancing Days in the Garden Well Watered. That's the whole name of the song. And it's from the album Sea. Make sure you listen to that. And then another one, the band is Minor Movements. The song is Where You're Looking From. Always makes me think of New Year's Eve 2019 because it was the last song I added to my 2019 playlist, and that was a fun time. Great songs. Just classic, good, straightforward post-rock. That's what I'm looking for. I have to comb through the Arctic Drones post-rock playlists. I did a little bit, but I didn't find anything that hit. I just want good, solid, classic post-rock like these two songs I've given to you. Now, I know I said a lot there, but check out the New Scene 2023 playlist. Search it on Spotify. These songs, everything's on there. Our guests are on there. The recommendations are on there. And you can check out the music for yourself. Okay, so make sure you check back in with me. After the interview, I went and saw The Darling Fire and Silent Drive at St. Vitus this past weekend. That was really fun. I went and saw my family in Bucks County yesterday. We had a nice dinner. That was fun. We'll talk about all of that. I'll also be paying tribute to the late, great Ian Kerner. Ian was a friend of ours. He was in a band called Blueskiesfade, who I saw a lot when I first started going to shows in Bucks County in the Northeast. He was an early guest on our show, and sadly, tragically, he passed recently, so I will pay tribute to Ian as well. So make sure you check back in at the end of the show. Oh, and just a warning, in the beginning of this interview, you'll hear a buzzing in the mic. That goes away after the first 9 minutes. We didn't know it was happening. It gets taken care of. Hang in there. The interview is great. You want to hear the whole thing. So right now, we are going to speak to Dan Hodsdon of the Callous Daoboys. Enjoy. All right. We are here now with Dan Hodsdon. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Dan, it's wonderful to have you here. I've been seeing your band's name everywhere these days.
It's a little nutty.
Yeah, it's great though, right? This is the time.
I mean, dude, we got number 4 on Kerrang's top 50 of albums of the year.
What?
Yeah, no, that just dropped today. We're number 4. We beat Slipknot, Ghost, Lamb of God. Like, it's kind of crazy that we even managed to do that. Even managed to break into the top 20 or 10. It's wild.
Well, yeah, that's happening. We've got a great album that came out this year, Celebrity Therapist.
Thank you.
The band is blowing up. We're going to cover all of that, Dan. But first, let me ask you, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm home in Florida with my girlfriend. She came out from Colorado. I'm with my mom and my dad, and my grandparents live next door. My brother gets in soon with his fiance. I am just ready to relax for a little bit for arguably like the busiest year of my life starts in February.
What's going on? Big tours and stuff?
Big tour. We announced a tour with Destroy, Rebuild Until God shows and with Varials that runs from late January to early March. And then we announced something right after that, but I can't say what it is just yet. But there's a lot of things in motion. We're over in Europe a lot next year. Just a very busy year. And I think we might hit studio time next year. We will see. I know. We just put out LP2, but also Daoboys has been sitting on LP2 for however many years. I think recording got finished for that in 2020. I believe I remember helping out with guitars in the studio for that, and I was always like, when do we get to release this? When do we get to release this? And thankfully, I was in the band by the time that it got put out. And it's just kind of cool to see something that I've been listening to for a year prior finally get exposed, and everyone gets to see what's just been sitting in the oven for however long. Like as unbiased as, I'm pretty unbiased because I'm only on a couple parts on the album. Otherwise, that was mostly everyone in the band. I do a couple chugs and time loops, and that's about it. But it's really, I thought it was a perfect record from when I first heard it. I still stand by that, and I can say that pretty unbiased because I'm not really on the record and I didn't write any of it.
Well, as an outsider, I can say it too, because I've listened to this record and it's just, the arrangements blow my mind. The amount of different things going on blow my mind because, I'll hear a song and I'll be like, okay, I know where this is going.
No, you don't.
And then it's like, boom, left turn. And I'm like, holy shit. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. And it's it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I remember the first time hearing Violent Astrology. I think that's the first track on the album. It's the opener, and just being like blown away at like how ferocious it was right out the gate. And then right after that, you're into. I think right after that is man, I don't even know the order of my own album. Isn't that insane? Isn't that awesome? Then right after that is Time Loops, and you don't expect like anything to happen. You don't know what to expect at any point during it. I remember my jaw hitting the floor when I heard the line of when I see an American flag, I don't feel a fucking thing, even if it's half-mast. I paused. Yeah. I paused it and I looked at them. I'm like, "Are you allowed to do that? Like, are you straight up allowed to do that?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's fine." Then we just kept pressing. And then we pressed play again, and I was just assaulted. It's a bombastic release.
It's funny that you mentioned that lyric. I heard that today, and I was like, I usually don't really pay attention to lyrics. They don't jump out to me all the time, I should say. But I heard that, and then I like turned my head, and I was like, "Ooh,
right, yes. Spicy."
That grabbed me. I like that.
It's a great opener. It lets you know that it's like kind of tongue in cheek, but also like there's a bunch of sections on that album that just do not fuck around.
Yeah. So you said you helped out with guitars in the studio. Where you were not in the band full time at this point?
I wasn't in the band, period. I was just technically the guitar tech. I remember it was like mid or early 2020. I made a little tweet at the Daoboys Twitter. I was like, "Hey, let me be your guitar tech when you go on tour again." And I think Maddie and Carson both have access to the Twitter. And I think Maddie just liked it and was just kind of, okay, whatever guy that we don't know. Then Carson, being always very excited at the prospect of cool things happening and bringing cool people onto the team in any way, DM'd me and was like, "Do you actually want to be our guitar tech?" And I said, "Well, I don't not want to be." And I took an idea that I had for a while of, they released the variant of Die on Mars that was like the Trix yogurt color. It was a pink and like a bright blue. And I was like, "I think it'd be cool to paint a guitar like that." And Carson was like, "I'll give you my guitar. Can you paint it in crazy colors?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Took me about a month. And I was working full time also. And I had a little shop that I worked out of in Georgia that I went over to every night after work and just toiled away on painting that guitar. And we call it the bisexual Eddie Van Halen guitar. It's got like blue, like these metallic blue stripes across it, hot pink accents. It looks killer. And that's kind of how I snaked my way into being friends with the Daoboys. And eventually I moved in with one of them when I was in between, when I moved out of my old house, and I moved into an apartment with 3 other people. And I just slept on the couch for months until I was like, "Hey, we should get a house. This sucks." And now we have a Daoboys HQ. All of us, except for like 2, live together. But yeah, on the topic of like when I was like pseudo in the band, I was in the studio helping out with, I was restringing guitars and getting them set up to be in whatever tunings were required. So their songs in drop D, drop C, and Violent Astrology and Star Baby are in a weird standard tuning. We kind of rip Norma Jean's tuning, where the top 2 strings are a minor second away. So you always have an automatic panic chord just by using one finger. So I was in there just like from the morning till the session ended at night, restringing guitars, setting them up, making sure everything plays good while everyone else tracked everything. And there was one point like during a chug breakdown in Time Loops, it's just open, and I was like, "That's really cool. Can I do a take?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." They just handed me a guitar and I could do dun, 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 dun. I was like, "That's cool. I'm on that album now." That's like my only contribution to sounding on that record, or to like being on that album besides just restringing guitars.
I like the initiative on your part, Dan, like reaching out and then getting yourself onto a little part on the album. You know, it just shows you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. And I really kind of threw myself into wanting to be a part of it. I mean, Daoboys has been my favorite band since 2018. I'm just going to sound like a fan at this point. But they put out the great Rocket Robbery. There's more words in that title, but they put out Rocket Robbery in 2018. I fell in love with that single because I was really into Dillinger. And I ended up recording with Corey Batista for a jam band. And Corey and I just started chatting about Daoboys. I'm like, that band's so fucking cool, dude. And he's like, "Yeah, they just recorded a new album. Do you want to hear it?" I'm like, yeah. So we sat there and listened to Die on Mars like 6 months before it came out or something like that. And I was like, after it finished, I was like, holy shit. He's like, yeah, do you want it? And Corey leaked just some dude, some random bass player. He just leaked the album to me, and I was like, sick. So I was just like listening to it for like months. And I remember listening to it with a friend in the car. I think we were listening to Barnstormer or something when it got to the steak tartare bit. And I paused it. And I'm like, I'm going to be best friends with this band someday. And lo and behold, now I'm in the band. And that statement is still true. I'm best friends with everyone in that band. And it's the life many would strive for. And I saw the way of getting there, and I did. I'm very happy and very, very grateful to be where I am. I don't want to sound like a pompous dickhead. It's like, it's cool that it's happening. You know what I mean?
No, you don't sound pompous at all. You just sound like you were a big fan of the band, and now you have this very rare opportunity to be in the band and work with them. Those are great stories, because I mean, how often does that happen? Like, never.
Not very often at all. No, there's just some dude that was good at guitar and listened to the songs enough and watched them play and practice enough that I'm like, I can play some of those riffs. And when they removed their other guitarist, when they had to replace him, they're like, Maddie was, well, obviously it's Dan. And it's funny, Carson was like, well, I'm just afraid Dan's going to like steamroll everything. I don't want to say that was untrue, but I always find it very sweet when Carson will mention to either me or to someone else that I quote unquote saved the band. But I really just, I believe really hard in the vision. I'm very happy that I get to be in such a wonderful creative space with Carson and the rest of the band, and being able to like put things together that I could only dream of when I was playing in shitty jam bands when I first moved to Georgia. So it's awesome. So the simplest way of putting it is that it's awesome, and I'm just waiting for, I'm aiming for the moon with Daoboys. I can't wait for the next year and the years to come after that.
Amazing. So you moved to Georgia. You moved to Georgia from Florida?
Yeah, I'm originally from Southwest Florida, about like 2 hours south of Fort Myers, or an hour south of Fort Myers, in a little town called Marco Island, 5x5 mile island. Not a lot going on down here. Not a lot of anything going on down here. If I wanted to join a band, I'd be in a shitty reggae band with a bunch of Republican frat dudes. That's not really something I want to do. I don't really want to jam on the same chord for 30 minutes per song. Which I ended up doing in Georgia anyway. But yeah, not a huge music scene going on down here, and on the Southwest side anyway. Shouts out Tracheotomy in the Southeast. But yeah, so I moved to Georgia 2016 to go to Lutherie School, which is, building guitars and learning how they work inside and out. And that gave me the skill set to have a job for really whenever I want to. I do guitar tech work for Seder. They're also from Atlanta. I do tech work for them every so often, or random friends of mine around there. This band, Great Wide Nothing, I do their guitar tech work. They're a prog band. It gives me like a nice like little, it's a fun skill set. Plus then we don't need to bring a guy on tour for that in the future. I can just do everything myself. So if something goes wrong, I can fix it. We're not sitting like, oh fuck, my output jack fell off, or shit, I broke a tuner, nothing like that will ever happen to us because I know how to fix it. And then I went to music school after that, because that was only a 6-month program or so, but it was every day of the week for 6 months. Then I went to music school, Atlanta Institute of Music, which is kind of how I know Corey, because Corey also went there. He's the guy who produced Diane Mars and Celebrity Therapist. And I went there for bass performance. I graduated 2017 from that. It was a year-long program, and just played in corporate bands and cover bands for years after that. Some original stuff, but it was never like very exciting or rewarding. The closest thing I had to something cool was like an indie rock band that I played in for a while. And that just kind of fell apart because 2 of the dudes in it were in high school, and they both fucked off to college when they graduated. But then, yeah, I just kind of didn't do anything for a while. Almost a year ago, I was playing a weekend. I was doing a weekender with a wedding band. And at the end of it, the head guy, it's funny, his name is Guy, but the head dude of that fired me because he's like, yeah, you just don't have the right feel for it, man. It's just like, it seems like you really want to just play like rock music. Like you got a good rock, got a good like feel for rock music. So maybe you should go do that for like a couple years. And then like, maybe you come back to doing wedding stuff after that. I'm like, cool, man. And yeah, I did that. And it worked out a lot better than playing in fucking wedding bands for shit, the pay was really good, but it's a lot more fun playing music that is original and people scream the words at you rather than playing a song that was written in the 60s.
It seems odd that a wedding band would have such integrity that they couldn't handle, I don't know, a touch of rock. What?
It was more just like they also threw a bunch of tunes at me that were not on the set list that was sent to me the week prior. I won't blame them for that. That's pretty standard in that realm. You get a song that week, or you get a song at the gig, and can you play it? It's a completely different skill set. But they were just looking for a different level of I'll call it professionalism. They're just looking for a different vibe, and that's fine. But it is what it is. You do play rock tunes in wedding bands, but it's a lot of Motowns, a lot of 80s, a lot of R&B. It's all top 40 shit, and that's like fun and it can pay the bills, but shit, like Daoboys is at the point now where we're paying our bills with playing fucking mathcore, dude. Like I'd much rather do that than play a Michael Jackson song, which are fun to play, but it's only so rewarding that you can play someone else's music.
Yeah. Like I've never been in a cover band, but I just I wouldn't be able to play tunes that like weren't mine. I need that originality. I need to be like,
you want a connection to it.
Yeah. For better or worse, whether people love it or hate it, it has to be mine,
Exactly.
Like if I was in a cover band, it would have to be a novelty thing. Like I always fantasize about doing a cover band where we play Nintendo soundtrack songs.
That's awesome. You're just going to start a cybergrind band that's Nintendo music?
Yeah, like, I'm going to start out with shitty games until we get good. And then once we get really good, I'll do like Mega Man 3 soundtrack, Journey to Silius soundtrack, like all that
That's so
stuff.
hard. That's such a good idea. You should do that.
That is my fantasy. I'm putting it out in the world to will it into existence. But listen,
do it, Keith.
Enough about me. As you're doing all of this stuff in Georgia to find your place in music, like what are you into musically? What is it that you're looking for?
At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted, because I thought like the only thing out there was playing wedding band music, and getting a paycheck, or playing fucking dive bar gigs and maybe getting $20 to the band.
Yeah, like did you know about mathcore and like all this other crazy stuff?
At the time, definitely. I got into Dillinger way too late. Like I started listening to them in high school, but I only like cared for a couple tracks. And then closer to when they broke up, it was around when Dissociation came out, I was really into Dillinger. And then they broke up. But like at that time when I heard Dillinger, I'm like, holy shit. Like when I like really was like diving into Dillinger, I'm like, oh my God, like how does a band sound like this? To me, Dillinger was like the craziest thing I ever heard at the time. And now after being friends with the Daoboys for however long, I am not saying Daoboys is the craziest shit you will ever hear, but like the stuff that the other people in this band will show me on a regular basis, I'm like, where the fuck do you people find this music? Like, where is this just out there? And now, I'm into like a bunch of like wild stuff out there. Like I love cybergrind. Some of my favorite sounds ever are like cybergrind artists totally like merging drum and bass stuff with metalcore. Like that's the coolest shit. Like my buddy in Zombie Shark, Corey, does like an incredible job of mixing just raw metalcore with like insane drum and bass stuff and like breakbeat, all that shit. Like that just tickles my brain the right way from like I think like being an internet kid, like a Newgrounds kid when I was little. And but like at the time, I just wanted to play something that was super cathartic. That was the biggest appeal for Dillinger for me, is that they would have all these moments where it's super chaotic, but it's obviously it's like building up to something. Like it's not just chaos the entire time. It always builds up to like a huge climax. Like I think my favorite example of that is from them specifically would be like Farewell Mona Lisa. There's a like a part like in the bridge where Greg's like, don't you ever be more than you or like worth fighting for, and then he like screams it. It sounds like he layered it like fucking 12 times, and it's like the scariest moment I've ever heard on a metal track. Like still, the first time I heard it, it gave me huge chills. I'm like, oh, this is what I want, something I create to sound like. And like from that moment, from hearing Farewell Mona Lisa for the first time, I was like, this is like my calling. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how to write stuff like this. I don't know how to approach this, but I'm like, this is my calling. This is the kind of stuff I need to create at some point. And then not long after that, Rocket Robbery comes out. And I'm like, oh shit, there's other bands that sound like this. I kid you not. I probably didn't hear any other mathcore or metalcore bands that sound like Dillinger until Daoboys popped up on my Twitter and Instagram feed. And then that was it. I was like, oh shit, I need to be in that band. I needed to be in that band like yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you have this connection to Dillinger's Escape Plan as well. They're one of the main bands responsible for getting me into this greater music scene. I went to my first non-local hardcore show in '98. Everyone's like, Dillinger's playing, and I'm like, I have no idea who they are, what to expect, anything. Under the Running Board, the 3-song EP just came out.
Yep.
And it was the scariest thing to this day.
It's terrifying. Some of that shit is ever seen. Scary.
Yeah, and I had never been to like a non-local hardcore show in someone's house. So this was my first experience. Guitars are flying over my head. There's 2 guys dressed as clowns beating the shit out of everybody in the crowd. There's blood all over the floor. Someone drew a pentagram in the blood, and I was hooked from that day forward. They were my favorite band for years after that.
That's incredible. I mean, the closest thing I had played to house shows before that was playing fraternity houses. We would play on a stage out front, and there would just be a bunch of drunk people the entire time, and we would play a 3-hour cover set. And for whatever reason, frat kids loved it. For whatever reason, frat kids love that shit. But that's like the closest I ever did to a house show. And I like, other than playing the music, I didn't want to be there. You know, that's not my thing. That's not my crowd. That's not my people. They weren't. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to traditional college or anything like that. I went to a fucking music school. Like, it was just never something that I went to Orlando like one time, freshly out of high school, to like hang out with like my old buddies, and just seeing everyone get like shit faced and destroyed at like some random club. I'm just like, okay, didn't we do this in high school? Like, what's the point of being here? Like, what's next? Like, you do this at a different club, or you do this at the frat house, or what's the point? And so then I just started playing those gigs. I'm like, okay, like this, I kind of get it. But still, like, after the show is over, I pack up my shit and I leave. I get my paycheck and I go. And there was never a connection to anything I was doing. So like you said, like once you like saw it and you got to feel like the actual visceral energy that kind of music puts out, it's addicting, and it's all you really ever want to care about. And then I start hearing about bands like The Chariot and Norma Jean. The Chariot, especially with like the following they had in Georgia, like with there's a video of them playing in a warehouse, and some of the comments on there are like, I was at the back during this, and some kid ran out in the middle of it with his head just gushing blood, gets it checked out, gets it kind of patched up, and just runs back in. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's the coolest shit I've ever heard. Like, I want to write music that makes people feel that way. I remember seeing my first Gojira concert by myself. I was like a month into living into Georgia by myself. I went to Gojira, and I was like, whoa, this is it. Like, this is what I want to put out. Like, this is moving. This is actually making people like move. Like, this isn't just like head bobbing your head or whatever and keeping your arms crossed. Like, yeah, this is catchy, man. This is like, I need to do literally anything else but stand still. And that's also why hardcore dancing is fucking awesome, because like kids can't just like, you know, mosh or push, but they're like, I need to swing my arms and do karate. Nothing else is sufficient. That's cool to me. Like, everyone gets so mad about hardcore dancing and crowd killing. It's like, dog, do you hear what's being put through those speakers right now? You're telling me you want to stand still? You're insane. Like, enjoy it how you want, but damn, like,
I like crowd killing when I'm watching it, and like the karate moves and all that stuff, because it's the only appropriate release I can think of to music that makes me feel that way. Just absolutely losing your mind. I just don't like it when I'm the one getting hit. That's all.
Oh, dude, when we played a show in Texas on our way back from touring with Avatar last July, and we played with Amnesia Garden, Karama, and From Joy, and I'm missing like one other band on there, but Carson and I got like folded over a table. We were like standing at the corner just watching From Joy, and this dude, I think this dude had to have been like 250 minimum, staged, like dove off the stage directly into us, and we got fucking folded backwards over a table. And I'm like, oh my God. And then later he's like spitting in the pit and just clocks me in the back of the head. It was so awesome. Like stuff like that is so cool, man. Like that, it sucks getting hit, but at the same time, you're like, you know what you're into. You know what you're getting yourself into being that far forward at a hardcore show.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like missed what I was trying to answer, but I mean, yeah, when I first got to Georgia, and started playing music live, it was all boring, and it was just kind of like I was like forcing myself to enjoy it and forcing myself to be into what I was playing. I played in a jam band for way too long, and the music was just kind of subpar and okay. And we did like one little mini tour, and I'm just like, why do I don't care about this? Why am I still playing this? If I don't care about it, I quit. I don't want to do it anymore. If it brings like nothing to me, I'm just like, I don't care about this. I've done that. Unfortunately, I've done that with like every job ever. Like the second I get like annoyed about something and I'm like, I don't like this anymore, I quit. Because if it's not serving me, like that's sort of like bum and like unemployed talk. But if I don't care about it, I will not participate. And I could have got another wedding band gig. Why? But fuck that. I went on a tour with a hardcore band like a month after that. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I don't care if I'm going to bed at 4 a.m. and waking up at 9 every day or waking up at 7 every day to keep driving. This is what I want to do. Like, I'll suffer. I'll suffer like physically as long as I get to play a 30-minute set every night and make people, act a fool. It's worth it.
Exactly. I mean, I like the drive. You made a lot of moves to just keep pursuing what you want to do. You're playing in bands that you don't necessarily want to play in. You went to guitar school and learned that whole angle of it. You can repair guitars and I mean, you can do it all. So it's like you're constantly moving in the direction of making this a reality. I respect the drive.
Yeah. And I remember being at that school, and one thing that always kind of stuck with me about what one of my instructors said, which I still hit him up if I ever need help with anything, or like I have a question or need to do something crazy to a guitar. But I remember one of the instructors saying something along the lines of like, well, this is a good skill set to have, because what if you don't end up being the rock star? I'm like, fuck that. I want to be the rock star. Why can't I be both? Why am I allowed? Why am I only permitted to be one or the other? Like, why do I have to be the lackey or the stagehand? Why can't I know how my instrument works and also be the rock star?
Yeah. Well, I guess the idea is you're a rock star until you hit about 40, and then maybe you get tired of touring and you can do the other stuff.
Like, if the guys in Meshuggah can keep touring and the guys in Rush, they were still touring. If the guys in Metallica can keep touring, I think I'll be okay for a while. I mean, shit, Dillinger were pushing 40 when they retired, but they're still playing shows, albeit not as energetic, for the simplest of terms, not as energetic as they used to. Greg's new project kicks ass, but Ben's playing with fucking Suicidal Tendencies. He's not throwing his back out anymore on stage. He's playing punk rock. And
he still do you see those suicidal videos with him? He still goes off.
Does he really? I haven't seen a single video from his new thing with Suicidal Tendency. I just see photos every so often. I didn't know he was still being a madman over there.
I don't think he's almost taking people's heads off with the guitar anymore, but he's still doing the Ben Dillinger wave the guitar around, jump around thing.
Oh, that's cool. That rocks.
Yeah. So he's doing it. Okay, so we're settled in Georgia now. We're in Callous Daoboys now, right? You probably didn't have much trouble learning all the songs and getting antiquated because you're in the studio, and well, it sounds like you're a professional.
Yeah, I was in the studio seeing how everything was played already, and just kind of watching. When we were in the studio, Carson, it was mainly just me, Carson, and Corey, and every so often the other members would come in and track their parts. Carson did as far as I'm aware, a big majority of the writing on Celebrity Therapist, and Carson is as good of a guitar player, if not sometimes a little better than I am. And I like that dynamic a lot, because I have someone who will present a riff to me and is like, hey, can you play this? I'm like, give me 10 minutes and probably sure. And then I do the same to them, and they're like, how the fuck are you playing that? I'm like, I don't know, just fucking watch what I'm doing and then you do it. That writing process is really fun. But when we were in the studio, Carson was tracking a lot of the guitars on it, and I would just watch. I had no context of where these parts were going, but I'm like, that's a cool riff, and I would play it. And Carson's like, stop that, just stop learning our songs. But like, why are you doing that? And but I just literally no context. Like they would record by the tuning, right? So all the drop D songs got recorded, and then all the drop C songs and all those like weird E flat Norma Jean tuning songs got recorded kind of in a row, but sometimes also like very disjointed. So like they would record a part for, say, Time Loops, and then they would go and record a part for Dude Missile not soon after that. So to me, it's all just blurring together. I'm like, I don't know where any of these parts are going. These chords make no sense to me. There's no context whatsoever because there weren't any vocals on them at the time. So I'm just like, I don't know what's happening, but that's a cool riff. I'm gonna learn it. And that's how I got a kind of a head start with learning everything. And then there were, of course, like questions I had later. It's like, hey, am I playing this right? And I would either ask Maddie or Carson to clarify.
So when do you get word that they want you in the band? Can we talk about what happened with the other guitar player, or do we not want to talk about that?
We can. I mean, he just wasn't a good fit anymore. Okay. I think that we can just leave it at that. It just wasn't a good fit anymore.
Gotcha. So when do you get word?
So around the time that they were, figuring out how to go about that, because I've been in bands where you have to like navigate replacing a member. It's never fun. It's never like easy to do. But around the time that they were, having those talks, I got a call from Carson, and the tour bus was parked out front. And Carson was like, "Hey, are you alone?" I'm like, "No, I'm inside." And Carson's like, "Can you go somewhere where you are alone?" Like, yeah, sure. So I walked outside, got inside the tour bus, and I'm just standing there. I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And Carson goes, "Hey, do you have Guitar Pro?" And I said, "Yes." Guitar Pro, for anyone listening that doesn't know, Guitar Pro is like a tablature program, so you can tab out songs and learn them and share them with people so they can learn them too. Carson's like, "Do you have Guitar Pro?" And I said, "Yes." And Carson goes, "Okay, cool. Do you want to play guitar for our band?" And I was like, "Yeah, yep, yes, yes, I do. Yep, I'll do whatever you need me to." And Carson's like, "Cool. Text me your email. I'm sending you some songs, and you should learn them." And yeah, I played my first show with Daoboys April 20th. We opened for Bill Murray. Was that April 20th? Yeah, April 20th or something like that. It was fucking middle of
this year.
Yeah, of this year. I was asked to join the band like March, I think, or maybe like late February. That was my first show with Daoboys. Unfortunately, I wish I had a photo of it of that time, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of like really quickly grinding stuff out and hashing things out. I got Maddie and I both run Kempers, which are guitar modeling boards. I got a Kemper the day before the gig, and I stayed up for 5 extra hours. Like, I was up to like 4 a.m. making tones and like figuring out how the fucking thing works. And then the next day we played a gig with it, and it ripped. It was a lot of fun. It was a total blast. We played at New Brooklyn Tavern, Cramp Stage. Awesome. So fun.
Amazing. Yeah, that must have been I've heard this story before, but not often. But to join one of your favorite bands and be performing with them, this is something that most people only dream of.
It's like the Jason Newsted story, except like the rest of my band isn't like hazing me and like being total dicks all the time. I mean,
and turning your guitar all the way down on the recording. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and I don't think it will, because I'm really good at guitar. They'd be stupid to do that. But yeah, it's like it's just straight up the Jason Newsted thing. Like, I got brought into my favorite band, and very quickly became as humbly as I can say this, I became a big deal for the band. Very quickly, I started getting in touch with our manager and being like, "Hey, like, what needs to get done? Like, what extra stuff can we do to like be better?" And every so often he just hits me up, like, and he's like, "Hey, this is the stuff that needs to get done. Can this happen?" Like, I handle a lot of just like the very generic like social media postings, like tour announcements or something with our record label Monarch Heavy. Just like, kind of boring stuff, but like stuff that needs to get done. And I just try to eliminate everyone's stress. That's kind of how I see my job. I'm the stress reliever. I get things done that you wouldn't really notice, but you would notice if it doesn't get done.
I love that. I need someone like you for this podcast. They can edit and take care of the social media and do the research and schedule the guests, and I'll just show up and talk to people.
You know, the crazy thing is you have to start paying people. That's the only thing. Daoboys doesn't really pay me, but I'm kidding. But I just took it upon myself to, you know, be helpful, and it paid off in spades. I also do graphic design, special effects work on the side. So like any of the like the playthrough videos, like the one I recently did with Jackie for Star Baby, the one Maddie and I did for Elephant Man. I shot and edited most of that stuff in like 2 hours, and then it was ready to go.
Is there anything you don't do? I mean, you have a lot of skills: playing guitar, building guitars, graphic design, special effects.
I can play violin and bagpipes. I'm a horrible dancer, though. That's about it. I can't dance. Maybe I'll learn that someday and just win at everything. But yeah, it helps a lot with content creation and being like aware of how to like work the algorithms on each respective social media platform. Like Instagram loves it if you just post reels constantly because they're trying to kill TikTok, and TikTok loves it if you post TikToks constantly because they still want to be TikTok. Still learning how to work that one, but mostly everything that I do can just be cross-platform posted. I'm pretty good at getting everything out when I needed to get out. But yeah, there's not a lot I don't do. It's cool being like a master of all trades.
Yeah, I learned all that stuff for this podcast. You know, like once pandemic hit, I took it weekly, and then I figured out every social media. Eventually I got on TikTok. Eventually I figured out Instagram Reels were the thing, YouTube on a schedule, all that stuff. I like doing all that stuff when I'm not in a bad mood. When I'm in a bad mood, I hate it and I don't want to do it anymore.
Feel that, man. Totally understand that. I got so much shit lined up when I get back home in Georgia, and I don't want to do any of it.
So you said you stream on Twitch too. Now I love this.
Yeah. I start a little while ago. I was just like, I put up a tweet that was like, hey, would anybody care to watch us play video games, specifically like Paper Mario or something like that? And it got a pretty good response from our fans, and they're like, yeah, we'll do whatever. We'll watch you play video games. I'm like, okay, cool. So while we were on tour, I started like looking into like what stuff you can do on Twitch. You can do anything on Twitch. It is very cool. You could host makeup tutorials on Twitch. You can stream playing guitar on Twitch. You can do anything on there. So while we created a Discord while we were out on tour in the summer, and I was asking some people in there, I'm like, hey, what's like some stuff that I shouldn't do on Twitch? What's like some stuff that's like boring? And I got a lot of feedback from that. And when we got home from that tour, I started putting it all together and we just started streaming. It's not like we have like hundreds of people watching. It's a bunch of 20 somethings playing fucking video games. Like, it's not super exciting, but it's just us hanging out with people for a little bit. And shit, now we're affiliates on Twitch, and we can we make a little bit of money on it, and that's kind of cool. And while people hang out and be ridiculous, we get to hang out and be ridiculous. I get to show people how some of our songs are played. It's a lot of fun. We get to do literally whatever we want. I did a stream when we were on tour in October where I followed our old drummer Sam around for 30 minutes. And I told him, like, hey, when I do this stream, you cannot acknowledge me at all. So it's just like Sam just existing and being weird for like 30 minutes.
I love that.
You can do anything you want. Chat was like blowing up. Like, can we control him? Like, Sam, sit. And like, it was just goofy. So like you can literally do anything on there. I have the little app to stream right to Twitch on my phone. I can set up the scene however I want. It's really convenient. It's really cool.
Twitch is a lot of fun. I like people and going out and all that stuff, but in small doses. Like, I like to go out for a couple hours at a time and then come back home. And when I'm home, I have Twitch on 24/7 because it's just fun. You know, you mess around and chat. People are doing their thing. I watch people play video games. I like it a lot.
Yeah, people, whenever we're streaming on Twitch, people are like, this is like the best little like background thing for me. Like, they'll just put it on like in a random tab and just kind of like check in on it every so often. It's nothing like too serious. It's casual. We're not doing anything like super important, you know? Like, we have we do a couple of announcements here and there. Like, we did a raffle for a drum head that we signed on our little October headliner, and we did a little stream for that. Carson was playing a video game for a little bit, and then like an hour or two into it, we're like, all right, time to do the raffle. And we did a little spin the wheel, and we chose the person that won the drum head. Like, you can do whatever you want on there. It's awesome. And I really got that shit figured out too. Like I'm again trying to stay humble, but I'm very proud of myself for it, of all like the little things that Daoboys gets to do just to have fun. But at the same time, it's revenue. It's cool.
Figuring out Twitch was one of the proudest things I've done, even though I don't stream a ton, just whenever I feel like it. But researching it and getting the computers and connecting the computers and all that stuff, it was
Dude, it's such a
major
big rabbit hole. There's like still
Dude.
stuff I have not figured out, and I'm like, I don't care. There's too
It's
much.
fucking crazy. Yeah. I have a 2 desktop setup now, and I've connected the 2 desktops, and
That's what we got. It's awesome.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to run the audio from one to the other for gaming, but I'll figure that out later.
Yeah, we got like external speakers for it and everything. We got it's like our computer setup kind of doubles as our like little demo studio room. So we get to do like everything out of one room now. Maddie and I like redid this whole room in our house that was just like collecting junk and bullshit, and we turned it into a little studio room. And it's really cozy in there.
You ever play any Warzone on stream?
I want to say no. I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of like Command and Conquer. No, we haven't yet. People keep wanting us to play Fortnite.
Yeah, I'm a Warzone guy. I stream 95% Warzone. Well, Warzone 2 now, but I'm going to be doing some Doom Eternal later this week, so that'll be exciting.
Sick. Awesome. I play a lot of Ultra Kill. I love Ultra Kill. I love playing Ultra Kill.
I never heard of that, but
you should play it. If you like Doom, you'll like it.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's awesome.
I got to check out your channel. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's just twitch.tv/the Callous Daoboys. And once you open it up, it immediately plays this like promo video someone shot for us in Atlanta. Our buddy Grant, who did like the last 3 music videos and maybe even the ones before that. I'm not sure, but Grant Butler did this like little promo thing when we played in Atlanta back in September. And I have that running the second you open up our Twitch page. I think it's really cool.
Nice.
All of a sudden you just get, I want my murder podcast, and it's cool. It's sick.
Now I'm thinking like, oh, you can run a video when someone comes to your page. I have to do that somehow.
You sure can. Like we got like a little banner in the background of the artwork. That I had Jackie like make it all purple and everything. It looks it's very well put together. If I do say so myself.
What's the live arrangement for a Daoboys show? Because there's a lot of different elements on record. I watched the videos, and there's violin players and choral arrangements and all this stuff. What's the live setup?
The live setup is okay. So the live setup is like we are going to be touring mostly as a 6-piece in the new year. So the 6-piece lineup, like the lineup wise for the setup, is going to be 2 guitars, bass, drums, lead vocal, violin. 3 of us do vocals. I do some shouts here and there. Jackie does some screams here and there. We might give one to Marty. Marty likes having a microphone because he's awesome. But Carson, Amber's violin. Carson, Amber, and I will be running a keyboard /sample setup. This last little run we did, we tried the 6-piece out just to see how it went, and it went surprisingly well. Carson and Amber, well, mainly Carson is running all the samples, and there's parts where, like in the song title track, Amber plays a lot of key parts in that, or synth lines and everything when she's not playing violin. So yeah, it's like a little sample board /keyboard. Just depends on what setting or a patch you're on, and it will run different noises. And so like for our February run with Drugs, I will be playing some piano parts. Like at the end of Star Baby, I'll be doing the piano for Star Baby, and I'm learning the saxophone solo on synth for the shows that we're not playing with Rich, because I think he's only going to be able to do like some of the New York shows because he stays up in Long Island. But yeah, usually the setup's pretty standard. It's just we have a keyboard up there that we swap duties on, if that answers your question.
No, it absolutely does. Yeah, because
Cool.
There's just so much cool stuff going on. I'm like trying to envision what it would be like live, but now I have a clear picture of that. How does a song come together? Because there's a lot of great elements to every song I've heard on the new record and everything else. Like, how does it come together? Where does it start?
Okay, so I can't really speak for like how previously songs came together. Carson is a very strong songwriter, and I get to see that in person a lot. And whenever you're writing with Carson, they bring out something different in you. If you are sitting with them writing, I know Carson does a lot of writing with other friends of ours in the industry, or like in our general area. So, what I can speak on is my experience with writing is Carson has ideas constantly and will come to one of us with the idea and be like, hey, this is what I want this to sound like. Here's what I have so far. Do you want to sit with this for a couple hours and see what can happen? And for instance, we've been riffing on this one song for a while that Carson and I will literally sit there for a few hours, and Carson will like maybe make a drum pattern in Logic, and then we'll see if we can either write a riff around it or a chug pattern, or if one of us just has a chord melody or a chord medley or something like that. Carson will be like, hey, I want like something that sounds like this. And then I'll play a chord and Carson's like, okay, I like that, but make it like way more sad. And I'll change some chord qualities around in it. And it's a very like kind of like flow of consciousness writing style. And when Carson's writing with me, I have a tendency of just being like, okay, but what if this? And what if this happened like immediately after that? But what if it just sounded like this? And Carson will get frustrated sometimes, like, Dan, you can't just write by saying, what if this happens? I'm like, okay, but like, what if it did? You don't know what it sounds like yet. And then Carson will record it, and then Carson will play it back. And Carson will turn to me like, okay, you were right. And I can't say like how Carson's writing process works with other people, because Carson will like, take their laptop around to say like our friend Ian or something like that, and they'll sit with something for a while, maybe write lyrics or write a melody for something. Carson will go to like a bunch of different people and just kind of like, hey, I'm writing for this today. Do you want to sit and write with this? Do you want to see what can happen? Like, I know with Celebrity Therapist, there are a lot of parts where I don't know where it's like reflected on who worked on what, but I know Carson went around a lot to just a bunch of different friends of ours and was like, hey, like, work with me on this. Like, let's see what we can do. So it's not always just like a singular effort. It's very collaborative, but it all comes from that little genius's mind, that little ginger genius's mind.
So would he just go to people not even in the band and work with them to develop stuff?
Yes.
I love that. That's really interesting.
It makes it so it's not just like this super confined, like Carson has the idea. Carson has a skeleton in their head. Carson will send me track lists for albums, 3 albums from now. And I'll be like, awesome. What do I do with this? And Carson's like, nothing. Just like, but I have the ideas. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do something then. Like literally 2 days ago, Carson sent me like a little like track list idea for like the next album and the next 2 albums. I'm like, awesome. Let's do it. I'm like, do you have demos for, we have demos for some of them. Like, do you have the demos for the other ones? Carson's like, no, but I have them in my head. I'm like, cool, let's do it. Let's get at it. So, I mean, like, fully like just I don't even know if this is like just like fan behavior, but Marty, our drummer, and I have talked about this before. Carson's I hope they don't hear this and get their ego like really like huge over this, but Carson is legit a genius. Like, it's kind of scary. I don't know where some of that stuff they write comes from. It's insane. It's very inspiring. And it's very fun to work with someone like that, because they have such a clear vision of what they want something to sound like. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. And like, we'll scrap it for a while, but we'll hold on to it because maybe they're very back and forth. Like, we revived a song that Carson before was like, nah, it's too derivative. And then we listened to it in the car and Carson's like, why did I scrap this? This shit's awesome. And then we brought it back and revived it and like wrote new riffs on it. And like, it's a whole new song again. But it's a very fun process writing with Carson, because it's rewarding and you always come out with something that you're proud of, and that even as a demo, like, it rocks. It like blows some again, not trying to sound pompous, but like it blows some like actual like full releases of other bands out of the water just as a demo.
Yeah, I mean, as you're describing Carson and his process, I'm just thinking to myself, he sounds really prolific. Just the amount of ideas pouring out is incredible, and it sounds like they're good ideas, because I've been in positions before where someone has ideas all the time, but they're all bad, and you have to like
so have I,
and you have to like play the game of like pretending they're not bad and finding a middle ground and all this stuff. But it sounds like a lot of, or all of, what Carson is doing is very good.
It's great. And like 2 of the craziest songs on the record, like Star Baby, for instance, and I believe Violent Astrology, Carson and Jackie both worked on that. Carson's like pretty pro, like one-on-one working with someone and writing. Or, you know, Carson will also just like write something by themselves and then bring it to someone else. But I know Jackie and Carson wrote Violent Astrology and Star Baby together. So you can kind of see like what happens when Carson will go to one person, like any one specific person, and what the output's like. You get Violent Astrology and Star Baby, and they're just like, they have some of the most ferocious riffs and breakdowns on the whole record, really. Star Baby, I think, has like the heaviest breakdown on the entire album. And it was written in like a few days by Jackie and Carson. So you have also Jackie is just like an incredible writer too. I mean, Jackie's also like mainly a guitar player, which is really funny because they play bass, but they write bass lines that any bassist wouldn't really think of. And like the track "A Beautiful Dude Missile," for example, is some of the lines in there. Like Maddie and I are just like, we're just holding the bass line. We're just holding the bass down. We're like the background of that whole song. And drums and bass are the main focus of that whole thing because they are constantly syncopated and they're constantly doing wild rhythms in between just like standard little strikes in like 5/4. And you wouldn't get stuff like that if one person was writing everything. You just wouldn't. It just wouldn't happen because Carson knows where everyone's strengths are and knows what songs to bring to what people. And look at the results you get. You get Celebrity Therapist.
So Celebrity Therapist just came out this past September, yes?
Yep, September 2nd. September 2nd. We were at 2 shows in on tour when that album dropped. Played in Philly that night.
Oh, where at?
I will not remember the name of it. I'm horrible for that.
Underground Arts, First Unitarian Church.
Underground Arts. I'm pretty sure it was Underground Arts.
Okay, I'm from Philly originally, so.
Yep, Underground Arts. I just looked at the flyer.
Good venue. So the album is out. We're seeing a very big response, yes?
A huge response, like bigger than I could have imagined. I mean, when I knew the album was good from hearing it as a fan, but Jesus, like I would have never guessed that this would be the response from it. I mean, our album's on a list that beat out some of my favorite metal bands ever. And that's insane to me. Like it's bands that like got me into playing guitar and got me into heavy music. Like Slipknot. Like I know it's like a group's personal opinion, like a collective magazine's opinion, but number 4 of 50,
amazing,
and beating out legacy acts like Slipknot, Lamb of God, Ghost. Fuck, like that's insane. That is crazy. To say the least, it is doing very, very well. We're on a lot of year-end lists. I mean, our manager is our biggest fan. You know, like he's got to be, and he's like, when the album came out, like we did a really good first week. I won't remember numbers off the top of my head, but he kept saying like, "This is only start. This is only the beginning of it." Like he's like, you're not. He's like, "I don't think you guys are ready for the response this record's gonna get." And he was right. I wasn't ready. I think Carson. I think the rest of the band and Carson always kind of knew that Celebrity Therapist was something special. But there's always that nervousness of like, what if it's a flop? And it wasn't, which I don't think anyone's really surprised about. But I think everyone kind of knew they were sitting on something special.
It's like impossible because when I heard the record, I was like, this is really special. There's nothing else that sounds like it. The production is fantastic. Like it would be impossible for this album to just come out and be like, all right, whatever. And and on top of that, I really like the music videos too. I just think the whole package is really good.
I remember getting to film like the first music video and like how much fun we were able to have with it. I'm some weird like fitness guru, like fitness DVD instructor that sees Carson walk into the water, and I got to just be because that was also a job I had for a really long time, was being a fitness instructor. So I got to like really ham it up and just be like ridiculous. And like, that was a lot of fun. We have like 10 minutes of footage of me like dodging and weaving between trees that we just didn't use that, I might like edit into something soon, but the music videos add a really nice touch to it. Cause it's kind of a cohesive story. Maddie worked on the idea for the time-lapse video. And it was like, what if it's like, Heaven's Gate, but a couple people woke up and like they're really confused on what happened, and then we continued it with like the bags on the head from the album cover, And in the What is Delicious video, they're like invisible forces like holding Carson back from leading a happy life. And then we continued that into the Elephant Man video when it's like actually like malicious forces that are, trying to stop the band, or Carson's like a mole for the FBI and a cult. They're all kind of like their own thing, but there's like a fun, loose concept that's going along with it. And it's fun to be able to have such creative outputs and more than just one vein of just being music over a speaker. You got something visual.
Yeah, I really the Elephant Man one was the one in the church with the secret informant, right?
Yep. That was a fun day. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Very long day, but it was very fun. We started filming at like 8 and we didn't finish till 1 a.m.
But those days are the best when you're just like putting everything into this creative pursuit of the day, whatever it is, and then you're done and it's like, yes, we did it.
And it was also cool because we got to have some like friends come out and be like be a part of the congregation in the in the crowd.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I bet these are all friends of the band. I wonder who this guy is. I wonder how they know him. Like
one of the guys in the video, he's the one who like throws all the money onto Carson, like Carson's a stripper. That's my old roommate and bandmate. We've played in like 4 separate bands together and wedding bands, and that's my boy. He also plays piano on Celebrity Therapist. He plays
nice.
He plays the piano, like the really nice piano lines in Elephant Man. The All Senseless Death Can Be Mended. That's my boy Dylan.
How does it work with the videos? Does the band come up with the idea and the script and everything, and then you just get the label and their connects to film it? How does that work?
Typically, yeah. So as far as I'm aware, Carson will have, or someone in the band will have the idea. The last 2 music videos were the What is Delicious video was something Carson and one other person helped make the like the write up for it. I forget what you call the actual write up of a script, because it's not just a script.
What do they call it? A treatment or something?
Treatment. That's what it is. So Carson wrote up the treatment for it for What is Delicious, and then sent it to all of us and was like, hey, what do you think about this? And we made some like additions here and there, like adjustments. And then we had our friend Grant Butler come film it, and he edited it all together. He also did the time-lapse video, and I want to say he did some of the older music videos from like Die on Mars, but I don't really know for certain. And then for the Elephant Man video, that was a collaborative effort with these guys from this podcast called Doom Scroll, and our friend Brett helped out write the treatment for that one, and Brett flew out from California to shoot it with Grant. And that one was a lot of fun. It was a long day, but it was like very, very organized and very like, okay, this is what's next, and like this is what we got to do here. Where like the ones with just Grant, like it was kind of like a flow of consciousness. We filmed the What is Delicious music video in like a day, I believe, or a day or 2, and they're both just like super efficient dudes, and like they understand like what needs to get captured, and then you put them both together, Brett and Grant. You put them both together, and it was just like a dream team. It was very, very cool to see how efficiently they worked together on the Elephant Man video. Very, very cool, and very rewarding process too. Because I mean, again, just look at the result.
They're great videos. Yeah. I mean, you don't want a video that's just cheap or it comes off bad. So I mean, when it turns out good, which yours did, that's it. That's everything.
Now, I remember the guys in Avatar really enjoyed it because, I think we're under the same booking agency as Avatar with Sound Talent. So we got put in front of them, and they were like, we like how there's like a cohesion to like the music videos, there's a theme present throughout each of the previous music videos for that album cycle. And they really enjoyed that because Avatar are very theatrical guys. Like they do like the whole, like the makeup and everything, and like make everything seem it's like it's part of a carnival. It's part of a big show. So it obviously catches eyes.
It does, because it caught mine. I'm big into aesthetics and the presentation and everything. I look at fonts, I look at colors, I look at covers, all that stuff. And I saw the album cover and the different color bags over the head, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I wonder how they thought of that. And then I saw that in the video, and I was like, yes, I like it.
Yeah, we had to incorporate that somehow.
Yeah, it just looks too good.
It's a great thing to like actually kind of bring to life. And we got like these fun pillowcases that we just tied over our heads. You couldn't see shit through them, but it was a lot of fun.
And I like in the Elephant video, like he's not like screaming like a hardcore band. It's just he's just kind of singing it like it's a church band. It's trippy.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun doing that and having like the opposing sides of it. So like the band is the choir singing,
Yeah.
and they're like really confused at the band that's the hooded band playing the metal music, and they're like taken aback by it. And doing that effect of like splitting it down the middle, really fun effect to do. I learned how to do that like super recently, and I made like a video on our Instagram of me like multiplying into like 4 different people. It was pretty cool.
What do you do that in?
Mainly After Effects and Premiere Pro, all Adobe stuff.
Oh. So did you work on did you do any editing of the actual music video?
No, not at all.
So you just know how to do the effect?
I just know how to do stuff like that. Maybe in the future I'll help out a little bit, but like I trust like other people's creative vision, because if I start working on it, then I'm gonna be like second guessing it, and like the band will be singing like, oh well, I want it like this. Like I'd rather just like, if we hire someone to do it, that person is doing it. I'll do it for other bands, but I don't want to do it right now.
I just like that you're figuring all this stuff out too, because I am too. Twitch, video editing software, amateur recording, you name it.
Yeah, it's fun to like learn how to do stuff like that, because it's always like somewhat in need if you ever want to like help out other people with it.
And when you're starting out, like you have to do it yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you.
Oh yeah, unless you want to like shell out money for it.
Yeah, and I didn't grow up rich, so look, that's not an option for me.
I hear you there.
All right, so let's talk about what we have coming up. Now, you mentioned some tours that we can mention and some other stuff that we can't mention, so lay it on us.
I probably shouldn't have even brought that up in the first place, but yeah, we have a pretty stacked year. There's a bunch of fun things that we've confirmed that we just can't talk about yet. We are going on tour with Destroy, Rebuild Until God Shows and Varials, with support from our good friends in 156 Silence. We're going on a big old full US run with them that starts January 30th in Atlanta and ends March 4th in Michigan, in Pontiac, Michigan. And then we have some other stuff after that. I think we might have like a month and a half off before we hit the road again. But who's to say if we don't play some one-offs here and there, maybe have some kind of small or longer headliner in the middle of the year. And then we're playing Arctangent Festival over in the UK, and I believe that's in Bristol. I might be wrong, but we are playing over in the UK soon, and we'll have a tour set up around that. So people won't only be able to catch us at the festival. We will be playing a good chunk of shows over in Europe. We got some routing back for that a little bit ago. But yeah, there'll be a lot of shows next year. So far, it seems like I am home for a cumulative 4 months out of the year. And I can only expect that to get even smaller.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited about that. But it is shaping up to be a very, very busy year. And I think it's only going to get busier due to us being on a lot of these year-end lists. Eyes are on the Daoboys, and I hope it stays that way for a while. My dream is to get a Gojira tour offer. So if Mario or Joe hear this, the Callous Daoboys really want to go on tour with you. That's my plea.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I mean, come on. Why not?
We have like small little connects here and there. Everyone in the industry knows somebody. So give it like a couple more years or something, and I think it could happen. But that's my dream tour.
It's going to happen. The right people are going to hear this episode, and it's going to happen sooner or later.
I believe it.
Is there anything coming up, or any other band or anything you're doing that you want to mention in the end that we didn't mention yet?
Shit, there are so many bands I want to mention right now. Listen to From Joy, listen to Tracheotomy, listen to Omerta. Omerta is going to take over the world next year and the year after that. Listen to Kaonashi. Listen to Greyhaven. Listen to Cryptodira. Listen to did I already say From Joy? Listen to From Joy again. That's like one of my favorite bands right now. Listen to music. Go to shows. Even if you don't like the band, just go to the show, buy a t-shirt. Maybe they'll make something really awesome, and you'll be the reason why. Shit, man, so many good bands around lately.
There's like too much good music lately, and I love that.
Listen to Your Spirit Dies a lot. Listen to the Holy Ghost Tabernacle Choir. Those are bands that are good. Listen to Dr. Acula. Listen to Ballista. Listen to Duck Duck Goose. Listen to fucking God damn it! I'm missing so many bands. This is awful. I'm gonna be so mad if I like forget a band 10 minutes from now. I don't know. You should just care a lot about music. That's all. Wait, I have two more. I have two more bands. Listen to Silithist and listen to Hitbox.
There you go.
All right.
Now you've got some major assignments ahead of you.
Yep.
And also, make sure you listen to Celebrity Therapist, the latest album from Callous Daoboys. I'm personally recommending it. It's a great listen, and catch them on tour. Swing over to the Twitch. I'm going to log on to the Twitch and see what's doing over there. That'll be good.
Yeah, we stream kind of randomly, but we are on there every so often. And if you got ideas for games you want us to play, we'll play it. We'll play Power Wash Simulator if you want us to. Someone does want us to do that, so I need to do that soon. But yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it, man.
Well, Dan, this was excellent. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show, and I wish you and the rest of the band continued success. I love what you're doing, so please just keep doing it.
Thank you very much, man. It was wonderful to be on here.
And there you have it. Dan Hodsdon. Amazing conversation. I really respect Dan's drive. Constantly moving in the direction of making this music thing happen. Going to guitar school, figuring out the technical end of things. Shouting out Callous Daoboys on Twitter, and then becoming their guitar tech. Secretly learning the songs in the studio. That was pretty funny. And when someone was like, oh, stop learning our songs. But he did. He just kept pushing forward. Fearless. And now he's in the band. He's doing it. His dream realized to perform with this incredible band. So I really respect that, you know? You got to take chances. You got to take chances. You got to let people know you're out there. Even if you fail, even if you fall flat on your face, you know you tried. Everything he's doing. It's a really cool band, too. Again, if you haven't heard Celebrity Therapist, check it out. They're on the playlist along with all the other recommendations. Really interesting album. When I first heard it, you know, it sounded like Dillinger Escape Plan, and I was like, okay, it's just going to be chaotic the whole time. It's good, but I know where this is going. And then, boom, left turn. And they throw in all these really interesting elements, and you have no idea where it's going to go, but they do it well. They do it really well. It's not just, you know, for the sake of being avant-garde or something. And Carson sounds really prolific based on what Dan was saying. I actually met Carson at Furnace Fest. I was backstage. Cursive was about to go on. I was talking to Carson, and he said he was in the Callous Daoboys. And I remembered that name because it was a good name. And we were going to watch Cursive, but my feet got tired, so I left and I went to go sit down in the front VIP area. But it was nice to meet Carson and talk to him for a moment at the fest. Great band. So thank you again, Dan, for coming on the show. Awesome stuff. So let's talk about how we are doing. Okay, so Friday night, I went to a gig at St. Vitus. I came out of show retirement. I had not been to a show since the Avail Dead Guy gig back in October, but I had to go to this because The Darling Fire is cool. Silent Drive is cool. Casey from Iodine Recordings was going to be at the gig, so I wanted to go say hi to him. So I went to the show. I met some of Casey's friends. I met some of the photographers we've worked with on the show. That was great. Just everybody was there. Everybody was there. You wouldn't believe it. The Darling Fire were excellent, as always. Very nice people. Very good band. So awesome to see them. Thought Crimes played direct support. They're like a technical, mathcore, heavy type band. You know, that style. Really liked it. The audience was into it. I was into it. Good stuff. And Silent Drive. I mean, come on. They were fantastic. Heard all the songs I wanted to hear. I really, really like, what is that called? Dearly Beloved? Hold on. Let's look. Yes, Dearly Beloved. That's the jam. That's the jam. But I heard everything I wanted to hear. They were great live. Crowd was really into it. Got to say hi to Zach after the set, which was cool. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. So I'm happy I went to the show. And you know what? 3 bands is perfect. 3 bands is perfect. My feet were tired by the end of it, and I just wanted to go home, and it was freezing outside, but not too many drunk, crazy people. Not too many people standing directly in front of my face. I was standing in front of the bathrooms, though, at St. Vitus, and that's not a great place to stand because, the door opens and sometimes you catch a whiff of something really not nice. But look, the room was packed. The room was pretty packed. And I didn't feel like squeezing in there to try to see the band and get knocked into by people. So look, minor complaints. The show was great. It was very nice to see and meet everybody. Good times. And now I retreat back into show retirement. That's it. Peace and love. Peace and love. No more shows until the next one, I guess. So that was Friday night. And then Saturday, I went down to Bucks County to have a dinner with my family. We're kind of spread out. My brother lives in Philly. My parents live in Bucks. My younger sister lives in Syracuse. I live in New York City, and my older sister lives in Maine. So we're all over we're not often very together. So my younger sister was going to be in town. She wanted to meet up with everybody. We went and had a nice dinner at King George Inn in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Those who know. The King George is a staple, and it was a great dinner. And it's kind of expensive, not super expensive. And I paid for the meal because I wanted to do something nice for my family. And my mom is like, "Oh, did you win the lottery and not tell anybody?" Because I bought nice Christmas gifts for my parents and for everybody, and then I paid for the dinner. I guess they're not used to me paying for things, and I'm not either, because look, again, I used to be out of control with drugs and alcohol. My bank account was always running a negative $1,000 deficit. I had 6 credit cards maxed out. I was like $40,000 in debt, all from addiction. I was a complete mess. And only now, like this last year or two, am I starting to even out financially and learn how to spend better. I'm making more money too, which helps, because I'm in this new role at work and things have been going well. So what I'm saying is it's really nice to be able to do things for my family, because I was not able to for so long because I was such a mess. So to buy them a really nice surprise gift that they like and pick up a tab for dinner, all of us to be together at the restaurant eating a nice meal with a view of the river right outside in Bristol. It was great. It was really awesome to hang out with everybody. We had a great time. And shout out to my Bucks County people: Bristol, Croydon, Levittown, Pendle, the realest of the real. And speaking of Bucks County and the good old days, I want to mention at the end of the show here, Ian Kerner. He was a friend of ours who recently passed. He was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma just before Christmas, this past Christmas. We thought he was going to be okay. Vadim, who has been on the show a number of times, spoke to him. I had seen him active on social media because he's in a new band called Howl of the Wahila. And I had no idea anything was wrong. And then one day he was just gone. I would be curious to know what happened. What diagnosis he got, if he knew how much time he had left. When I started going to shows when I was 16 in Bucks County, he was in a band called Blueskiesfade, and they played a lot in the area. I saw them in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Philly, and they were one of the first bands I saw in the scene. And I just always remember people singing along and being really into it, myself included. I posted a video on the Twitter account. It's from a song called The Passion of Silence. I'll never forget seeing that. Bob Meadows put on this big benefit show at St. Ephraim's Church in Bucks County. Blueskiesfade played, and they opened with that song, and everybody was just in awe. It was crazy. And then the breakdown kicked in, and this gigantic pit started. It was just a lot of fun. I have fond memories of Ian. I have fond memories of seeing Blueskiesfade. And when I started this whole thing, before the new scene was around, we were the Northeast scene. This started as an Instagram account where we posted old show flyers and memories from our local scene. And when that Instagram got started, it started getting some traction. And some people from my past popped up, Ian included. And it was great to hear from him. It was great to catch up with him. We had Ian on the podcast in the early days of the show. Check out episode 25 to hear all about Ian and Blue Skies Fade and what he was up to at the time. He's survived by his wife, Erin, and 2 children. If you would like to contribute and help them out, just go to Google and search GoFundMe Ian Kerner. That's Ian Kerner. They've hit their goal on the GoFundMe, which is great, but I'm sure they could use more support for him and his family. So, Ian, it was great knowing you. Rest in peace, brother. And that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Check out the songs on the New Scene 2023 Spotify playlist. Check out the Callous Daoboys. If you've got any good post-rock recommendations, you can email them to me at newscenepod@iodinerecords.com. And I'm always on the Instagram, so you can hit me up there as well. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support. It's nice to go to shows and meet people who know the show and who have contributed to the show and who I've spoken to through the Instagram and who I've met and whatever else. It's a great community. I love it. And I love doing this. And I'm back next week with a new episode and a new guest. So thanks everybody for listening. And until next time.